Good Shabbos. Hands up if you've been to the magical, mystical city of Tzfat. Beautiful. So this story takes place in Tzfat, around about 600 years ago, when Jews had left Spain and Portugal, not of their own desire. Many of them had ended up in Constantinople, in amongst the various cities in the land of Israel, and some had gathered in Tzfat because there was a center of the study of Kabbalah and mysticism. And so found themselves Jacobo and Esperanza, two Jews from Spain who, like many of the Jews who had lived through the terrible time of Torquemada and forced conversions, were not the most knowledgeable about Judaism, but deeply passionate and would try their best to attend synagogue and to listen to the words of the Rav, even though they were often in Hebrew that they didn't fully understand. But they did the best that they could to be good people and members of the community. One day, Jacobo comes home from shul and says, Esperanza, you won't believe what I heard in shul today. Incredible. The rabbi was telling that in the temple there were challah, 12 challahs, the most beautiful and holy challahs. And Esperanza, nobody in Tzfat makes challah more beautiful than you. I have an idea. So that week, Jacobo went to the market and found the most beautiful and incredible ingredients for challah, which are flour, the finest flour. Eggs, not just any eggs, the eggs that came from the finest chickens, the hens that were holy. What else? Water, purified water, holy water from the mikveh of the Arizal. And yeast that would raise a building. Salt, oryx salt with a ceramic grinder. And sesame seeds that had been hand selected for their shape and texture and beauty. And all of those other things, and brought them home. And then Jacobo and Esperanza began to put the ingredients together and knead the dough and make the finest challah, platted, put it in the oven, and the smell that arose from that oven would stop people in the street who were on their way somewhere, and then would become lost, transfixed, as if they had forgotten that they were on the way to anywhere, but all they could be was entranced in that smell. And when the challahs were baked, Jacobo put 12 chalot into his coat and made his way to the synagogue. He walked into the shul. He went up to the ark, opened the curtain, placed the 12 challahs in amongst the Sifrei Torah, and said, Buon appetito, buon dio. Closed the ark curtain and left the shul. Not long thereafter, in came the shamus, Yankel the shamus, to do what he always does on a Friday morning, to get the shul ready, get the Torah scroll in the right place, do all of the things that shamuses do and the people don't appreciate because they think they come to shul and it's always like this. There was Yankel doing his thing. So as Yankel enters the shul, hey, Kaddish Baruch Hu, if you could maybe help out, Yankel. I have so many children. Life is hard. They didn't pay me this week, but I don't complain because it's a mitzvah. It's a mitzvah. It's a mitzvah. But maybe it's also a mitzvah to feed your children. Maybe a miracle, a little miracle, small miracle. And at that moment, Yankel opens the ark to behold 12 of the most magnificent challahs he has ever seen in his life. He can't believe it. 6 challahs, 2 for Friday night, 2 for Shabbos lunch, 2 for Sudah Shlishit, 1 challah for every day of the week to come. A miracle! A miracle! He takes the challahs and he goes home to his family. And that Shabbat, Yankel and his family feast like they have never feasted before. Shabbos morning comes. Jacobo and Esperanza are in shul. In those days, Jacobo and Esperanza are in shul, separate seating. The moment comes, the Torah service. Vayahiv in Saron. The ark is opened, and there are no challahs. And Jacobo looks up at Esperanza in the gallery and says, "Ha! Ha!" They had never been so happy that their sacrificial offering had been accepted. So that week, they went back to the market and they got the finest ingredients again, and they kneaded and they made the beautiful smell. And then Jacobo would bring it into the shul and put it in the ark. And then Yankel would come in, and there were the challahs again. A miracle, a miracle. Oh. And so it went on. Week after week, month after month, year after year. Miracles and miracles and miracles, until after 20 years, 20 years, Yankel comes into shul on a Friday morning. Reboine Shalom, I don't want to complain, but last week the challah was a bit lumpy. Maybe you could speak to the angels. I don't want to complain, but they could just knead it a bit longer. But no, please, I don't complain. I don't complain. And Yankel is about to open the ark when there is a hand on his shoulder. It's the rabbi. The rabbi says, "Yankel, what are you doing?" So Yankel says, "Well, Rabbi, every Shabbos, HaKadosh Baruch Hu provides me with a miracle." The rabbi says, "Yankel, we need to talk." Earlier that morning, the rabbi had seen Jacobo putting the challahs into the ark and had interrogated him as to what was going on. So at this moment, the rabbi brings Jacobo out, brings Yankel out, and says, "Jacobo, can you explain what you have done?" Which Jacobo did. "And Yankel, can you explain what you have done?" Which Yankel did. And at that moment, the two of them, in the realization, began to cry. Because the miracle that they thought was angels on high was not a miracle at all. It was just challahs in the ark. But then the rabbi said, "Jacobo and Esperanza, you might think that this is not a miracle, but I can tell you with confidence that for the last 20 years, the angels on high have never had as much joy as they have had seeing the two of you doing what you are doing. So next Shabbat, don't put the challahs in the ark, Jacobo. Just take them round to Yankel and share them with his family." And that's exactly what they did. And for the next 20 years, they did. And for the next 20 after their children did, and their grandchildren. And so it became a custom in the holy and magical and mystical city of Tzfat. So many of you have said goodbye, and I've said, no, don't say goodbye. Just say lehitraot, till we meet again, till we see each other again. We're not leaving Cape Town. We're just extending our reach to reach across the Atlantic. And so I would like to think that the challas that you have placed and made and shaped and that we have had to enjoy and the opportunity to enjoy, and the challas that we have made and placed and shared with you will continue to be the fabric of this community, that it will be a community of loving kindness, community chasadim, that it will be a community of angels that show up for each other and continue to do the beautiful things that make Temple Israel a magical place. Good Shabbos, everybody. Good Shabbos.